Welcome to Let's Talk Learning, the space where learning comes alive. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Amy, and together we're Tutor Team Managers at the National Learning Group, and we're part of a team that is dedicated to transforming the way that young minds learn and grow.
And in this podcast, we're going beyond the classroom to discuss effective educational strategies with insights from colleagues, experts, and real experiences from tutors and learners.
Every week we explore a different topic, and today we are going to be looking into the future of education and the future of tuition.
Join us in this special episode as we chat with the first tutor of NLG about the future of tuition and the impact of COVID on this. So, welcome, Jane.
Welcome, thank you.
So Jane here is the first ever tutor at the National Learning Group, so it's very special that she's joining us here today. So I don't know if you wanted to tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, Jane, and how you first came to join the NLG.
Well, strangely, it came through from relationships over racing cars.
Wow.
But, you know, I was passed on the advert. I was looking for work at that time. I was temping and not enjoying it. So I really wanted something else that was more interesting, more exciting and more varied. I applied for the job and thankfully got accepted. And it just all developed from there. It started with 2 students and, and it's just gradually evolved and grew, and we established what we were doing and how we were doing it over that first year and setting up procedures. And then we got to the point that I had too many students I couldn't cope with. We had to take on the next tutor. And then it went, from just so gently, and then suddenly it started going up at rocket speed.
And would you say that was because of COVID, or do you think it was interesting?
COVID, yeah. People have been looking into being able to save time. If they're going to take a student to a tutoring centre, they've got to drive, they've got to allot that time, they've got to then be there an hour later to pick them up and take them back. Yeah. So there's all that time management. So it might be taking them 2 hours to do something that's an hour. Yeah. Whereas if you get being tutored from home, then there's none of that involved. You can be in the kitchen making tea while the student's in the dining room doing the tuition, and then it's all ready. So it's so much time saving for everybody involved. It's more comfortable for the student. It's a little bit more remote in that your tutor is online, so you've not got somebody coming into your house. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to think, is this room tidy? Is that room tidy? Mm-hmm. It's just there on the camera, and it just makes it so much easier.
You've mentioned ease for the students there. What about yourself as a tutor? So did you find the transition to online tutoring easy? I suppose one of the main concerns we've had from tutors joining the National Learning Group is, what about my resources? Can they all be transferred online? How did you find the transition onto online tutoring?
The transition for me was fairly straightforward, in that I've been involved in video in the very early days before YouTube and any of that happened. So I was aware of what it could do and how it could be used and utilised, and that was one of the strengths I brought to the company, because I was aware of all that. And it's been able to, have that relationship with your tutor without having to travel anywhere or them travel to you, and it's keeping your home as yours. But transitioning with as far as resources and things go, I was used to doing everything online anyway, because I'd been an IT trainer. So I was used to building PowerPoints and doing things like that. We also have used a range of software that gives us those resources. So we've got, they're built in with videos and PowerPoints and things, so that they're utilised and they're just shared on the screen, just the same as you would use a piece of paper in front of somebody. You've got it on the screen. You can both write on it, you can both use it. And, for me, it just was second nature to do it that way. One of the jobs I'd done previously was going into schools and helping deliver GCSE courses to increase skills and take them up a level, going back to when it was letters, they were aiming to get a C or an A star, or so it's and as all the things transition, as we then were hit with the pandemic, and all these teachers and tutors that had no idea what to do, we were already there, we were doing it. So for us, it wasn't any difference to be able to just increase and take more students on, take more tutors on, and we had that knowledge to be able to give them. We were already there.
And I think that's why the tutors are happy to work with us, because you kind of take away that fear almost. I can relate. Just as a teacher, I was actually not teaching during 2019, but I did some teaching in 2020, and it was the first time I had to teach hybridly lessons online as well as in the classroom, and sometimes all of them online. And I hadn't been given that training, and I remember feeling very scared actually to be asked to just use Teams. I was a supply teacher, so I hadn't had that, where a lot of my friends had the previous year been teaching for a long time online. So there is a fear there, and in a way, having somebody like yourself to set it up and then to roll that out over the rest of the tutor team is a strength, and I've learned an awful lot from you, Jane, just in terms of,
I would say,
don't be afraid of Zoom, don't be afraid of the technology, because it does open this world for anybody who wants to tutor, I guess. But for me, for example, it's something I would consider, because I can do it online now. I don't need to go to somebody else's house, as you say.
And these skills are transferable to the students as well. So by tutoring them online, I suppose COVID kind of made this a paramount importance, that the students are able to access information online and have access to computers and are able to use them to access these lessons. So the way that we're becoming more accustomed to systems, the students are as well, which, considering we're in a massive age of digitisation, the 21st century, I feel like the use of computers that we have in technology is just growing every day or day by day. And so students having an awareness of that, I think, is also really important as well.
Oh, it's a vital skill for them going forward. Vital. And, that is one of the things that I utilised it for with one particular student. She was second language and she wanted to be able to do her oral English. Well, it was just a perfect situation to be able to practice it, online. And, and she's taken that away with her for the rest of her life. But yeah, it's nobody should be frightened of this format, of being able to do it this way. If anything, it should give you more confidence that,
So instead of being frightened, we should embrace it.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
But it does go back as well to that. You mentioned the digital age, and I'm not being patronising, but we span a few generations here, and we all have different experiences, and we've touched on this in our first podcast, haven't we, Amy? We all have different experiences of the digital age, and I think those of us who are a little bit older are a little bit more worried about it. And in fact, ironically, we're the generation that will be coming to that stage in our lives where we're looking to change things up a bit and take the foot off the accelerator a little bit. And tutoring is something that is always in your back pocket if you're a teacher. So I think it is definitely something to embrace. And I can see that with the experience that the tutors get working with this technology, and they will get with the new software as well, it's going to change the way they teach forever in a way. And if they are also teaching in the classroom, they can use it to complement how they're teaching.
As you were saying before about it being hybrid, if you're in that classroom situation, then you can have some students at home.
Yes, and that's what I had.
And it's been able to use it for however it needs using. Yeah. So having that skill and that knowledge, and then be able to utilise it. We work with TEFL students, and we work in groups with them. So it's been able to use it in that group situation as well as in a one-to-one, which is the main use that we use it for. Yeah. But it's just, the way it's developed is brilliant. When we started off, we had a black and white PDFs, and now we've integrated that with videos and been able to get the students to move things and do things. And, you know, it is much more of a whole learning experience for them. And, you know, we continue to develop and continue to grow.
Do you think AI will ever replace us?
No, I think it will complement us. That's been my biggest revelation of the last year. And then to realise, as we've started to utilise it, that I've been using it on various different websites without realising it. But the trouble is now, once seen, I can't go back and unsee it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've mentioned growth there. What do you feel has changed in terms of expectations? So from the students and parents' expectations when you first started tutoring, where do you feel the difference lies now? Do you feel that there's higher expectations on tutors? Do you feel like it's the same?
I think it's higher, because COVID gave the parents the experience of online learning as for their students, for their children, and they had them at home. And it was something that was on television last night, I think, that I saw, that parents have realised that the children don't have to be in the classroom to learn. And learning is holistic. It is everything that you do, from getting up in the morning to going to bed. You should be learning something, and probably lots and lots of things. So yeah, it's and that is just going to continue to grow. But you know, the parents' expectations will continue to grow as they know more about it.
Yeah, and it kind of links again into that making what is private tuition accessible for all, isn't it? Yeah. And so those kind of private expectations are going to feed into, they're paying for something, so they want to get the most of it for their child or student. Do you think tutors are able to adapt to that? Do you think those expectations are there? Do you think all tutors can adapt to that, or
not necessarily? No, it's you need some technical knowledge and be able to use computers. If you can't use a computer, you're frightened of a computer, that is going to be a block. You know, you've got to have the confidence that this is a tool I'm using and I know how to use it. And there are so many free courses out there. Most libraries run courses in using computers, so it's a skill anybody can learn at any age. You know, one of the jobs where I was training in IT, I had everything from, you know, the 17-year-old that had just started work to the 65-year-old that was just leaving work. They had to move on to using the computer, and you aim the direction that you're going slightly differently to if you're dealing with somebody that is computer literate. So it's just taking those steps that are required.
And looking ahead, so if we're looking into the future now, what do you think the biggest challenges that online education faces, and what do you think the biggest opportunities are moving forward? So where do you think we're going to be, and what challenges do you think we're going to face?
I think we're just going to continue to grow. And I think that COVID has opened this doorway into what we can do and where we can do it. And it's, you know, so if a student goes to Pakistan for a month's holiday, they can still have their tuition. All we've got to do is sync the time zones, make sure we're in the right place at the right time, and that tuition can continue. If, you know, you've got family somewhere else in the world and you need to go there for an extended period, then that tuition can continue. And it's learning the opportunities that are there. And the same for tutors. You know, they've got something that they're abroad. We've had tutors in Canada, in Spain, Portugal. You know, the tutor can be anywhere. It doesn't matter. And that's a huge, huge opportunity.
Do you think it can evolve past that? Do you think, I mean, I'm trying to imagine how else it's going to evolve.
I suppose in a way we've talked about expectations have got higher because the quality of service they can expect is a lot higher because technology's evolved. You've mentioned accessibility there. That's obviously increasing in this digital era. I suppose the possibilities are limitless because of AI and changes to technology. I don't really see there ever being a stop to education and where it can evolve. It's just navigating each challenge as it comes.
Yeah, it just evolves because, you know, when you look at us, if we didn't evolve and change, we'd still be in a cave, and we're not. And every time something new comes, AI will and already is making such differences. Sadly, it can be for good and for bad, but hopefully we will harness the goodness from it and be able to develop what we can deliver, how we can deliver it, and that will just grow and it will become more accessible for everybody. You've also got the facilities where you can have that translation on it, you know, so you can be dealing with somebody in another language and get that instant translation that is far superior to anything that was there in the past. You know, so the sky's the limit. It's what we can dream of is what we can deliver. We're limited only by our imagination.
Absolutely.
Before we finish off, you did mention one of your students. Have you got any other example of a notable transformation in a student through what you did with them, or any other success story you'd like to share?
I think one of the ones that I really remember is a student that was really struggling with fractions and percentages and that side of things, and being able to present information in a different way, give them a different way of looking at it, can open that door to them. And to see that light bulb moment when it suddenly clicks, and then they can do it, and they can run and tell mum that they can do it, and this is how you do it, and they're sat at the dinner table teaching, you know, dad how to do it. And yeah, it just makes it all worthwhile.
It does. I can totally mirror that, and I have lots of examples of I haven't online tutored, and I haven't tutored, and I have tutored face-to-face off and on, but when you have those students who come to you and say, Miss, I don't know how to do that, and they're afraid to say it in front of their friends as well, which is again another way that this online tutoring has revolutionized things. But once you've broken it down so they understand it, and then they come back into class and they enjoy what they're doing, and you can really feel that. I remember one of my students, once I'd started this kind of journey with him, he would stay behind and tell me about everything he'd read, learnt. I got a book from him, you know, at the end of year 9, whenever he was going off, and it's just that joy of turning that light bulb on, I think, and also helping those that feel they can't master it to understand that they can. And I guess it's this in a nutshell, isn't it? We can master anything we put our minds to, and it's just the internal dialogue saying, "Oh no, it's not possible." But COVID shone a light on the fact that education needed to move with the times. It needed to revolutionise.
I think you said it perfectly. We're only limited by our imagination. I love that saying. I think it's a great one to say to our students and in any classroom, because we are. And with these limitless possibilities, we need to think big, and we need to make education accessible to all, and think positively towards the future.
Yeah, you know, when I think that I'm in my 60s and I can think and what I've seen change in those few decades, you know, and the change has just got bigger and bigger and bigger and faster and faster and faster. And that is going to continue. That is never going to stop.
Thank you, Jane.
Well, that was an absolutely insightful conversation. We've talked about everything to do with education, where the NLG first started, with some wonderful insights from Jane, and also where we think education is going to be in the future, which is really exciting.
We hope you found the discussion enlightening. We personally can't wait to see what the world of education will be like in 10 years' time.
Or even 20, you know, as Jane says, possibilities, and we are only limited by our imagination. And here at at the NLG, we like to imagine big. We like to imagine that in the future, we will have thousands of students where we can deliver a high quality of tutoring too. So please like and subscribe, and don't forget to comment any future topics that you would like to discuss.
Anything you'd like us to include in future episodes, we would love to hear your ideas and your opinions, because it can inform what we do in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.